Okay, listen. I'm I am it's gotta go, y'all. I'm tired. Tired. I almost died. Like what the sir? Why are you this musty? What? Why would you do that? What have I ever done to you? Like, y'all, I was offended. It was stuck.
This is Roseanne McCulley, a 34-year-old mother of 3 from Missouri, moments before she would be shot dead. Just hours earlier, Roseanne had posted a chilling message on Facebook, sharing the injuries she had sustained from an escalating domestic dispute. What she didn't realize in that moment was that the act of reaching out for help would become the very thing that sealed her fate. On the night of March 5, 2021, a frantic 911 call sent police rushing to a home in a quiet neighborhood where a woman and her 3 children were being held captive. But what awaited the detectives inside that house was beyond anything they could have imagined. Upon entering, officers were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. Roseanne lay lifeless, shot multiple times at close range. Her 2 children were not spared either. They had been shot too, but the true nightmare had only begun. One child was still missing, their whereabouts unknown. What could have led to this? What horrific chain of events could have resulted in such violence? As detectives pieced together the fragmented clues, they would uncover a shocking truth, one that no one saw coming. But before we get to that dreadful day, let me take you back to how this tragedy all began.
Hey y'all, alright, my name is Roseanne, but y'all know me as Rosie Q.
At first glance, Roseanne McCulley, known lovingly as Rosie to her friends and family, was a talented, creative, and kind-hearted woman whose life revolved around her children and her art. But beneath that warmth and creativity lay a story few truly understood. At just 34 years old, Rosie was a devoted mother of 3 children, 13-year-old Caden, 6-year-old Kaylee, and her youngest daughter, just 1 year old at the time. Everything Rosie did began and ended with her children, as she worked tirelessly to give them love, stability, and joy.
Drink something? I don't know. Two then. Come on, Jay.
Come on, Jayla.
Go, hurry, move. 3. Again.
Oh. All right, come on. Oh, look at you. Got lucky.
I'll pick on everyone too.
Sadly, she would not live to see them flourish into beautiful humans. By day, Rosie was a customer service claims lead at Centene Corporation, known for her reliability and strong work ethic. But by night, she transformed her creativity into something magical. A passionate artist and entrepreneur, Rosie ran her small business called Glitter on 8th, where she designed and sold personalized cups, shoes, and birthday cakes. Each piece she created carried a piece of her heart, reflecting her desire to make others feel special and celebrated. But Rosie was more than a hard-working mother and artist. She was sweet, funny, sarcastic in the best way, and endlessly loving. Her laughter filled rooms, and her kindness lingered long after she left.
Look at the baby. Say hi. He got that Rona.
Yet, while she appeared strong and joyful to the outside world, a much darker reality followed her home. Long before wedding vows were exchanged, Rosie's relationship with 42-year-old Bobby McCulley was already marked by violence. In 2017, Rosie had filed a domestic violence complaint against him. However, like so many victims before her, Rosie ultimately chose not to press charges. Without her cooperation, authorities stated the case lacked sufficient evidence and it was dropped. Tragically, this was a moment that foreshadowed years of pain to come. Despite the warning signs, Rosie remained in the relationship. Holding on to hope, the two were married on July 29, 2018. To friends and family in attendance, Rosie appeared genuinely happy, smiling as she began what she believed would be a new chapter. Bobby embraced Rosie's older 2 children, Caden and Kaylee. Although he had several children of his own from previous relationships, he became a father figure in their lives, and they seemed to be in support of the union.
You want some boob?
It was a moment filled with promise, but also with uncertainty. But the family would soon expand. A few months later, Rosie and Bobby welcomed a daughter together, who they named Zoe.
Zora! Hi, baby!
Rosie embraced motherhood once again, determined to keep her growing family together. But the marriage did not bring peace. Behind closed doors, the abuse continued and intensified. But Rosie fought to maintain a family for her children, hoping love, patience, or change might one day break the cycle. That was until she couldn't anymore.
He assaulted her really badly.
Rosie began sharing the truth on social media, posting disturbing accounts of violence and emotional turmoil. In one post, she revealed that Bobby had beaten her so severely that she required hospitalization. She had bruising, swelling, and injuries from being stomped in the chest and abdomen by him. But that post would only be the start of a pattern. In another post, she revealed what seemed to be the catalyst for the physical violence she had suffered. She shared how refusing Bobby's sexual advances had resulted in a brutal beating. Rosie, clearly in distress, explained that she had even gone as far as to put Bobby out of their home, hoping this would bring some kind of resolution. But instead, the violence only continued to spiral. Just one day later, Rosie posted something even more heartbreaking, revealing the extent of her injuries. She shared that after being examined at the hospital, doctors had found significant bruising, lumps, and abrasions on her body, and she would need to undergo x-rays to check for possible internal damage. In her caption, she reflected on the emotional and physical toll the abuse was taking on her, and how she could no longer hide the truth from her followers. The post was a cry for help, and it became a point of connection for those who had been silently witnessing her struggle. As Rosie's posts became more urgent, it was clear that Bobby's threats were not empty words. On February 23, 2022, just 2 days after her last post, Rosie shared another update with her followers, revealing that the situation had only worsened. At this point, it seemed like the violence was no longer a private affair. Rosie's pain was being exposed to the world. But as unsettling as this all was, it wouldn't end there. 4 days later, on February 27th, Rosie made another post. In it, she explained that she was moving Bobby's things into a storage unit, but what followed on her post was more chilling than anyone could have expected. Bobby, who had been the source of Rosie's torment, made a chilling appearance in the comment section of Rosie's Facebook post. His words were callous and chilling. He unapologetically stated that since everyone is enjoying the show, they should stay tuned, implying that more was to come. It was a statement that sent a shiver through everyone who read it, and for those who had been following Rosie's posts, it signaled the beginning of something much more dangerous. What no one realized was that this comment wasn't just a sick remark. It was a precursor to an even darker chapter. On the night of March 5th, 2022, just days after that unsettling comment, Bobby McCulley's violent behavior reached a breaking point. Rosie had finally made the decision to end her marriage and leave Bobby, a choice that triggered a dangerous escalation. Over the past days, Bobby had been threatening her, telling her that if she left him or brought another man into their lives, he would kill her. Despite these threats, Rosie pushed forward with her decision, believing that she had no other choice for her own safety and well-being. But that night, Bobby's rage turned to action. At around 9 p.m., a neighbor noticed a suspicious person lurking near Rosie's house and called the police. When the police arrived, they searched the area, but they couldn't find any sign of an intruder. However, 3 hours later, multiple gunshots rang out from the direction of Rosie's home, and again, an emergency call about a gunshot was placed to 911. The police rushed back to the scene, where they found a broken window at Rosie's house. Upon investigating further, they made a horrifying discovery. Inside, they found the bodies of Rosie and her 2 children, 13-year-old Caden and 6-year-old Kaylee. They discovered that Bobby McCulley had not only kidnapped his wife and children, but had tragically murdered them, but had also abducted their 1-year-old daughter. Bobby McCulley's actions had gone from psychological torment to cold-blooded murder. His threats, his abusive behavior, and his chilling social media posts had been warning signs, but no one could have predicted the horror that would ultimately unfold. An Amber Alert was issued immediately. Law enforcement agencies throughout the region began searching for the missing child. The police began an immediate manhunt for Bobby, as he was charged with the kidnapping and murder of his wife and children. However, the investigation revealed that this crime was the culmination of years of violence. Just hours before the murder, the police had been investigating Bobby for a domestic violence incident involving Rosie. He had filed for divorce a few days earlier, and Rosie had already begun the process of removing his belongings from their shared home. However, Bobby's violence did not start with Rosie. Bobby's criminal history included multiple instances of domestic violence, including prior assaults against women. In one case, he had been convicted of false imprisonment and sentenced to probation, yet he was still able to carry out this horrific crime. Bobby McCulley was considered armed and dangerous. As authorities launched the search, they also reached out to Bobby's family members, hoping to gain any insights into his whereabouts. Fortunately, after several tense hours, Bobby eventually dropped off the 1-year-old child unharmed at a relative's house. The child was safe, but the trauma of losing her mother and siblings would undoubtedly follow her for the rest of her life. With the child safely returned, the manhunt for Bobby intensified. The authorities knew it was only a matter of time before they would find him, but they were unaware of the cowardly act he had committed. The following day, Bobby McCulley was found dead. Law enforcement discovered his body in his car near his mother's house in North St. Louis. It appeared that as police were closing in on him, Bobby had decided to end his own life before facing justice. While the police had not yet been able to arrest Bobby for his crimes, his death marked the end of a painful chapter for Rosie's family.
We start with a tragic story out of North St. Louis County, where a mother and her 2 children were shot and killed inside their home. The victims, Roseanne McCulley and her 2 kids, 13-year-old Caden Johnson and 6-year-old Kaylee Brooks. The suspect was identified as Bobby McCulley III, the mother's estranged husband. Police also say he took their 1-year-old child, which caused that Amber Alert to go off overnight. That child is now safe with family. McCulley later took his own life when police tried to arrest him.
While it is often a relief for many victims' families when perpetrators are brought to justice, this situation was different. With Bobby's death, justice was denied in a way that left family members and friends feeling conflicted. While some believed that Bobby deserved to face the consequences of his actions, others struggled with the fact that his life had ended without giving them a chance to confront him in a court of law. As news of the murders spread, the local community was shaken by the tragedy. Friends and neighbors of Rosie and her children spoke out, expressing their disbelief and sorrow over the senseless loss of life. Many of them recalled how kind and loving Rosie was, describing her as a sweet, funny, and creative individual who cared deeply about her family.
Very beautiful young lady. The kids were very manable. For that to happen this close to home, still be for crying. They didn't deserve that. I've been crying all, I ain't even been asleep. I was trying to get some sleep, I'm devastated.
They were devastated that someone like Rosie, who had so much potential and love to give, was taken in such a violent and brutal manner.
My prayers, my family prayers go out to the family. I hate this even happened to the family.
Neighbors also mentioned that they had seen Rosie just days before the murder. Some recalled seeing her outside with her kids, enjoying a moment of normalcy, completely unaware of the danger that was looming in her life. The suddenness of the crime left them heartbroken, and they mourned the loss of not just Rosie, but also her 2 children, Caden and Kaylee. The tragedy of losing a loved one to violence is never easy to cope with, and for Rosie's surviving family members, the pain was amplified by the nature of the deaths. Her mother, in particular, was devastated by the loss. Rosie's mother described the emotional toll it took on her, as she not only lost a daughter, but also her 2 grandchildren. She felt that justice had not been served in time, as the police have been investigating Bobby just hours before the murders occurred, but had not arrested him. In the aftermath, many family members voiced the importance of taking action when it comes to domestic violence. They urged others who might be experiencing similar situations to speak out and seek help before it is too late. The case highlighted the dire need for better systems in place to protect victims of domestic violence, especially when there are clear signs of abuse, such as in Rosie's case. In a heartfelt memorial, Rosie's family and friends gathered to honor her life and the lives of her children. They expressed their sorrow and demanded justice, hoping that the death of Bobby McCulley would serve as a wake-up call for others to take domestic violence more seriously. With the tragic deaths of Rosie and her 2 children, the case drew attention from both the public and law enforcement. However, the road to justice was complicated. While Bobby McCulley had taken his own life, the case highlighted significant issues regarding domestic violence and the inadequacy of the legal system in preventing such tragedies. Bobby's history of violent behavior, combined with a history of domestic violence complaints and police reports, raised questions about the measures in place to protect victims. Rosie's family and advocates for domestic violence victims pushed for further legal reforms. They called for stricter enforcement of domestic violence laws, more resources for victims, and better communication between law enforcement agencies and survivors of abuse. Even though Bobby McCulley was not brought to trial, his mother wouldn't escape so easily. Bobby's mother, Michelle Clayton, faced legal consequences for her role in the case. After the murders, it was revealed that Michelle had misled police to protect her son. She lied to investigators and prevented their arrest, which led to her arrest and subsequent charges for felony obstruction of justice.
Another woman, Michelle Clayton, is facing charges in this case. A probable cause statement says she misled and lied to police, preventing McCulley's arrest.
Her bond was set at $25,000, which highlighted the deep complications involved in this tragic situation, including the influence of Bobby's family in the aftermath. Despite the horrific end to Rosie's life, her memory lives on through the efforts of her family and friends to raise awareness about domestic violence. Rosie's life, tragically cut short, has become a rallying cry for those fighting against the normalization of abuse in relationships. Her story has sparked conversations about the importance of recognizing the early signs of abuse and the impact of domestic violence on children. The loss of Rosie and her children has become a poignant example of how such violence can have lasting effects not only on the victim, but on the entire community. Her close friend, Stephanie St. John, who had been in touch with Rosie just hours before the murders, continues to share her story with others. Stephanie encourages those in abusive relationships to reach out for help and not wait until it is too late. Her message is clear: if you see the signs of abuse, take action, even if it means reporting it to law enforcement, as uncomfortable as that may be. Rosie's family, despite the unbearable grief, has worked tirelessly to keep her memory alive. They honor her by speaking out, organizing vigils, and advocating for stricter laws and resources for victims of domestic violence. They hope that by sharing their story, they can prevent other families from experiencing the same heartbreak. Rosie's case, like many others, shines a harsh light on the prevalence of domestic violence and the devastating consequences it can have on families. Her tragic death serves as a reminder of the critical importance of taking action in situations of abuse. Authorities and experts agree that domestic violence is often underreported, and many victims are too afraid to come forward for fear of retaliation or escalation.
This is a call to action for everyone. Point their family members or their friends to the types of resources to get them help, or if it's already crossed that line of violence, sometimes you got to do the uncomfortable thing, which is report it to law enforcement, because, you know, maybe it might strain that relationship, but it might save someone's life.
This is why it is crucial for friends, family, and coworkers to be vigilant and provide support for those in abusive relationships. Rosie McCulley's death is a heartbreaking reminder of the urgent need for change in the way society deals with domestic violence. While it is too late for Rosie and her children, it is not too late to save others. The lessons learned from this tragic story must serve as a call to action for all of us to do more to help victims of abuse before it is too late. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.